So a lot of us are told when we're younger that if we want to do well in school, we have to study a lot, we have to put in the hard work, and we'll end up getting the grades that we want. Now, this does work for some people, but for a lot of people, this actually doesn't work. People put in the exact same amount of hard work that other students do, and they don't end up getting the results. So in this video, I'm going to unpack what differentiates one student from another and how two different students that study the same might end up getting different results based on the way that they study. And I'm going to back it up by different research articles. So what is going on, guys? My name is Mikey, and I'm a pre-med student here at the University of Waterloo. And on this channel, we talk about different strategies and tools that you can use to live more productive, happier, and educative lives. Now, I'm going to begin by talking about one article that discusses the importance of self-motivation, and second, I'm going to talk about a different article that talks about the importance of taking practice tests and the feedback you receive from them. Now, I'm just going to straight get to the point. So there was a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. She was a psychologist. Her name is Angelina Duckworth. She also did a TED Talk that I'll link down below if you guys do want to watch that. And she basically tested students on whether they perform better in school due to self-motivation or if they perform better due to their IQ. And her results are as follows. She found that highly self-disciplined adolescents outperform their more impulsive peers on every academic performance variable, including report card grades, standardized achievement test scores, admission to a competitive high school, and attendance. So that basically means that students that are more motivated end up performing better than students that have a higher IQ score in literally every single section, especially standardized test scores. Like when I took the MCAT, self-motivation is so important and it plays a huge role. Whatever standardized test you take, most likely you'll probably undertake in one in your life. Being motivated for that is gonna make a big difference when it comes to your results and your scores that you're actually gonna get on it. Later, she actually found that the final GPA calculation had a p-value less than 0.001. So if you're not familiar with statistics, a p-value of less than 0.001 is like the best results you could basically get, like showing that it is the most significant. Like these results is like what all researchers aim to try to get, and she was able to achieve it. She also had an R-squared value of 0.9 and an R value of 0.95. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. This literally goes to show that motivation outweighs IQ to the greatest extent when it comes to studying. So if you are not motivated for the stuff that you're doing, you're not going to end up performing good on it, although you might understand it very, very well. Now, let me give you guys an example of how I was able to, kind of be motivated when it didn't come to school stuff. So I'll give you like a real life example. So I used to work out a lot before, Corona. Sometimes I wouldn't be motivated to go work out and I didn't really want to go. I just wanted to chill at home and I wanted to relax. But I was motivated to, maybe watch a video. I was motivated to maybe listen to a particular podcast. So when I went to the gym, I used to put in my headphones and watch that video or listen to that podcast. So I was more motivated to watch the podcast or watch the video. And as a byproduct, I ended up working out. So it was kind of a win-win situation. So you can manipulate your circumstances, you can manipulate your environment to be more motivated. That's just like I said, blocking out all your distractions. By doing that, you're gonna be more motivated to study. If you have Instagram within your reach, obviously you're not gonna want to study. Instagram is so much better than going through cell biology stuff that's so boring. And that brings me to my next point, and that is how top students perform better than others based on the way that they actually study. There's a key factor that differentiates them from other students. So the second study that I'm going to discuss is by Andrew Butler. He's a psychologist in the University of Washington. So basically, he essentially set up a trial where they had two different groups of students. Well, they had multiple groups of students, but these are the two that matter. So one group of students were instructed to read a passage, then write an exam and get feedback on that. So what do I mean by get feedback? So the researchers would tell them what they got wrong, and they would give them time to go back into their books and to relearn that, and then they wouldn't give them time to write a second test. So they would just write one test. Then there was a separate group of students who read the passage as well, write the exam, but they would not get feedback on everything they got. So they wanted to test basically the importance of feedback when it comes to writing practice tests. And what they found was that the students that received the feedback ended up performing much better than the students that didn't receive feedback. And this makes a lot of sense because they're basically advocating for students to read something to the point where they mildly understand it and then to switch to practice tests right away. Not rereading and rereading and rereading and rereading and leaving practice tests to the last minute, but rather they're trying to say that practice tests is what makes or breaks the difference between top students and average performing students. And I used to do this a lot actually in my organic chemistry class. When there was a concept I was trying to figure out, I would test myself then and there. After I learned it or after a class, I would test myself in my head. I remember when it comes to E2 elimination reactions, there is a concept concept of either Zaitsev or Hoffman elimination. So I would think, okay, Zaitsev is the most stable one. So in order to get the most stable one, we need to have the least steric hindrance when it comes to a base removing a proton. And we also need to have the least steric hindrance when it comes to a beta carbon. So if we have the least steric hindrance, then we'll have Zaitsev. If we don't have the least steric hindrance, we'll basically get Hoffman. So then I would tell myself, okay, I understand that. So then I would move on. Now that's exactly what they did in the study, in that if you didn't understand something when it came to the test, they gave you feedback on it and you would go back and study it. And that's so important because you find those gaps in your learning. Because you could tell yourself, oh, I understand a concept, it's so easy. And then the test day comes and you realize you don't understand it. You can't actively recall it. So what they're trying to say is make sure that you study something minimally, you study something to the point where you understand it. I'm not saying like obviously like you read one word, but I'm saying like study it to the point where you understand it, but you don't fully comprehend it. Then start taking practice tests and you'll find the errors that you have in your learning. Now keep in mind, not only will you have understood or at least reviewed most of the content and you'll be able to find all the gaps in your understanding, but you'll also be less stressed when it comes to exam day because you've commonly questioned yourself through, practice exams, through flashcards, whatever the case may be. You ask yourself a lot of questions already. And I understand that we don't live in a perfect world where professors and teachers don't give out unlimited practice exams that you could do. Many of them don't even give out practice exams. But I also know that on YouTube and on Khan Academy, there are so many questions out there. Believe me, guys, there are so many questions out there that you could find for whatever course you are taking. Cell biology, microbiology, cognitive psychology, regular psychology, statistics, calculus, every single thing. There are examples out there. I mean, I remember I used to even go like on YouTube. I used to, find examples of what people would like sometimes there's like practice questions that they would post on YouTube. And I would, I'd start the video, wait until they write the practice question on the wall, then I'd answer it right away, see if, and just test my knowledge. Then I'd finish the video and better understand it. It was a win-win situation because if I understood it, I would either figure out a separate way to solve the question, or if I didn't understand it, I would literally understand how to answer that question right then and there. So I think that was very important, that whenever you find gaps, you find all the resources you can and use them all to your advantage to do as well as possible. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do appreciate it a lot. It took me a while to find all these journal articles and to summarize them into small snippets for this video and for the rest of my videos. I hope you guys do enjoy them and you do enjoy the hard work I put in them. If you guys do like these videos though, feel free to subscribe and to like down below. It does help me out a lot. But anyways, other than that, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. Take it easy. Cheers. You always went to the literature. So I think